Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Geeks and Degenerates. We have made it at the end of our Star Wars journey. Again,
I'm so
I'm with
tired.
John and Hazel, and as you've seen in the title, we are talking about Return of the Jedi. Uh, Before we get into the movie, can you guys guess what director Lucas wanted to direct this movie?
Spielberg.
You're right.
They're both friends. What do you expect?
But he couldn't because him and the guile of directors had a disagreement, so he had to look for other people. Like, I think his other choice was David Lynch, but he said no, and he went to make Dune. The other one was David Cronenberg. Go figure. Yeah,
I would have loved a David Cronenberg Star Wars
right.
movie. I was wondering. I was like Francis Ford Coppola. What the fuck?
Oh, there is a connection between him and George Lucas that we'll get to later.
Okay.
But yeah, this movie starts with Darth Vader appearing in the second Death Star. Uh, you know what? I'll let that fly.
It's our repair.
Yeah. And he's not happy about the progress because they're behind schedule, and he's like, perhaps I can motivate your men, Commander. And he's like, I'm sorry. The Emperor's displeased, and he is coming here. And he's like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, and the Emperor is not as forgiving as I am. I'm like, oh no.
It's like, what does that mean?
Exactly.
And then we go back to Tatooine with C-3PO and R2-D2, kind of like the first one. And without their knowledge or consent, they're given to Jabba as prizes.
Because man, droids don't have rights. What are you talking about?
I guess not. I guess not.
No, but that was how many years has it been since?
Empire?
Yeah,
A year, I think.
year. At least this one has the decency to let Luke train to become the Jedi Master, not like some bullshit sequel trilogy. Sorry, I'll
You're
leave it
still
alone.
mad on that. I do like 3PO's reactions, like, well, you're playing the wrong recording, R2. Stop.
Stop it!
And
Hey,
then
fuck it!
we also see, of course, we see Jabba the Hutt, and he's this massive creature. Like, oh my god, what is
Yeah,
that?
and I could see a little bit of an inspiration from Cronenberg here,
Yeah,
where like Jabba's disgusting. Even like that little Kawakian monkey lizard thing that he has. as a
Salacious
pet.
Scrum.
Yeah, and like I could see a lot of influence from Cronenberg. Like it's just kind of gross
Yeah,
just to look at, but it's amazing work.
took 11 people to work that thing.
Which one, Jabba or
Jabba.
Slash? Alright, I was like, from really? Probably 4 at least.
How about you, Hazel? What do you think of Jabba the Hutt?
Pretty disgusting thing.
Pretty disgusting slug thing, gangster.
Yeah,
Godfather. Just like,
Yeah, pretty.
big shot gangster on Tatooine.
yeah. It's like,
No, but like,
how did
I-
they control the crime syndicate? I still want to wonder. I still wonder why, and I want to know how they grew in power.
you still wanna wonder?
Yeah, I still want to wonder.
I said wanna wanga. Sorry.
Abango
I-
Wonder Solo.
I really don't like that character, to be honest. Like, first look at, I hate the lumped
Bib.
eyebrows.
Fortuna?
Yeah. Like, I'm glad they kind of shot him at the beginning of the Book of Boba Fett.
And in the special edition, we get some songs. Well, one song. In this.
Oh, yeah. What was her name? The one with the snoot mouth?
Well, Bib Fortuna actually dies at the end of Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
Well, because you said.
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah, you said
But that was
Boba
like
Fett.
that was the teaser
That was
for
the teaser.
Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. There's a weird song, and I'm like, oh, okay. I just.
I mean, just because you didn't understand it, it's weird. It's kind of racist. So.
Did you understand it?
No, but I don't find it weird. But the only weird
I
part
find-
is that
I find
Jabba
out
was like, Jabba was pretty much just like pulling one of his how do I say this? Twi'lek slaves,
Yes.
Twi'lek slaves, towards the Sarlacc pit, and then just pulls the lever.
Not Shark Pit, the Rancor door.
Rancor, sorry, Rancor pit. And I was like,
Yeah.
And I thought when first time watching this, I was like, oh, Luke's gonna save her, or Han's gonna save her, or Leia's gonna save her. No, she just gets eaten.
Yeah. Poor
Poor
Twi'lek.
Twi'lek eaten. But they put that up.
And then comes Chewbacca with another bounty hunter who's voiced by the woman who voiced E.T. So if you wonder why they sound familiar, that's why.
Did not recognize. Everything's just beeps and boops and sounds.
Yeah. And then in the dead of night, the same bounty hunter rescues Han Solo, and he's blind. He's like, I don't recognize your voice, and she takes off the mask, and it's Princess Leia.
Yeah. And you gotta love how Jabba had this all set up. like, once she gets him free, open the door. It's gonna be funny. Watch this. I was like, what the fuck? They just knew that she was there.
And yeah, I want to know who brought him downstairs. Like, we're gonna surprise him. Please carry me downstairs. Like, oh, okay, yes, sir.
Exactly. Like, again, he's just like, he doesn't really move on his own all that well. Well, I mean, Huts can move on their own, but they're not that fast or sneaky.
Yeah, and then Leia says we have powerful friends. You'll regret this, and Jabba brings her closer to him, and it's creepy. And then we cut to a figure in black entering the gates, and it's Luke Skywalker in his Jedi Knight robe. And he's pretty much echoing Darth Vader with all the black stuff.
Oh yeah. Like when he has the whole black getup now, I was like, I love that. He was already somewhat at the balance of dark side and light side. Well, not yet, but like he was getting there. He was kind of queuing for that.
Yeah. And then he goes to talk to Jabba, and Jabba's like, I won't fall for your Jedi mind tricks, boy. And he falls to the Rancor pit.
Like, yeah, we have this whole showdown of like the pig things getting eaten. I love seeing that, by the way. I was like, wow, it's such a practical effects. So it's nice to see, not the eating. Maybe, but like, yeah, Luke pulls down the gates on the Rancor.
And then Trainer's devastated.
Exactly. Like you can see like how devastated this man is. Like this is probably his pet. Like he loves it a lot. And then we get to Book of Boba Fett and see like these things aren't really that violent.
They have feelings.
Unless provoked, and they're very like compassionate creatures. And I was like, you made me feel bad now.
And yeah, we get to see Leia in the slave outfit. According to Carrie Fisher, they made her go through this crash diet where she had to get skinny, and people judged her for it, and she didn't like it. What?
Wait. So what? The business tells you to get skinny, and then the people in the business were like, "Nah, you're too skinny."
No, she didn't like the critics being like, we don't like seeing the folds on your body, something.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that. Dick move on
Also,
executives.
I wonder why she doesn't talk back to Jabba.
What do you mean?
Because usually when she's captured, she talks back to Vader, Tarkin, all these other bad guys. But like here, she doesn't.
Isn't there a thing like you need a translator for Jabba?
Yeah, but even though I feel like she would still be like, I don't want to be in this outfit. I want to get out of here.
I mean, for sure she was already like that, but like, yeah, she didn't really voice out all that much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why she was more quiet here, and she didn't have a lot of lines.
Yeah.
Compared to the past movies.
How about you, Hazel? What do you think of Leia's role as the slave?
As the slave.
Well, I mean, when she was captured in episode 4, and she was talking back to Vader and Tarkin, I think it was more of a defiance thing, where under direct pressure she will snap back as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And Jabba really wasn't threatening her so much. I mean, yeah, he was being, disgusting and kind of like pervy and stuff.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really threatening her. He
So
was
she was
just
more.
keeping her.
So she was more like creeped out rather than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also weird too, like when they bring Luke and Han in front of Jabba, they're not like, "Oh my God, Leia, are you okay?" They're just like talking to Jabba direct. I'm like, "Don't you want to check in on your friend first?"
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
The
I
chains look comfortable. I guess I don't know.
And he keeps tugging on her neck, and she's like, "I'm gonna get you back for that."
I don't like that. Yeah. No, what I don't like is that like Java is designed to be kind of like gross, lazy mob boss, and he's like drooling. You can see him like eat shit, and it's
Eating.
like coming out of his.
Real life African bullfrogs.
Yeah, and like he presses like Leia's head on, like he grabs her head and just presses it against his belly. I was like, I don't like that. Like I know it's like a puppet, and
Yeah.
it's not real, but I don't want to touch it.
And then Luke and Han are sentenced to be eaten by the Sarlacc pit. And they go there, and it's now, instead of being a hole in the ground, it has a beak. For the special editions at least. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
less scary though. Because I feel like if it's just a hole in the ground, I'm like, it's more ominous or like ambiguous. Like, what is
Oh,
it?
like, yeah, okay. The thought of the unknown kind of.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
Like, you don't know what it looks like.
Like the more details you give it, the less scared. I'm just like, what is that? Not like, oh
Yeah.
God, what is that?
I will agree on
And then Jabba's like, do you have any last words? And Luke's like, no, you.
that. I was like, is this a legit line? No.
Like,
But yeah, and like Luke does this whole dive board trick thing, and
Yeah.
R2 launches his lightsaber up in the air. I was like, all right, cool.
And it's green. And it's the first time people have seen a green lightsaber at that time.
Yeah, and like if people notice, it is Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber.
Yeah. Also theory that it kind of uses the remains of Qui-Gon's Kyber crystal. Henceforth,
Yeah.
why it's green.
Yeah.
And Luke is to swing this thing like a bat. He's going crazy, and then Boba Fett flies to confront Luke. He ties him down at first, but Luke gets free, and then he's aiming his rockets at him, and then
You gotta love how they innovated the grappling hook.
yeah,
Like in the old movies, it would wrap around you. Nowadays, it would go through your leg and pull you in.
but yeah, he's aiming his rocket, and then Chewie goes oh, and then Han's like Boba Fett, where? And he hits Boba Fett, and
This is the dumbest scene. Cause like, yeah, I get it. After rewatching all these movies, sure, Boba Fett doesn't do much. Sure, he captures, but you don't really see a lot of action with Boba Fett. But like, this is his time to shine, to be like a worthy adversary. And then he dies from an accident? Really? Okay.
any thoughts on Boba's demise, Hazel?
Well, I mean, he doesn't die.
Oh, he doesn't. But I mean, like, that was like probably like, oh, that's the last time we'll see him this entire movie,
Yeah.
kind of deal. Or series or trilogy. So.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, as far as people knew or whatever, that was it. That was the end of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And for someone of his reputation, it really wasn't suiting for someone like him, but it was also pretty funny.
It was. Because, like, it was supposed to be, like, Mandalorian armor. Jetpacks are made to be sturdy, and they get fuel from somewhere, I don't know. But, like, a hit from, like, a PVC pipe, I guess, busts a hole in it, and the man goes flying into the dunes.
Screaming like a bitch, like, oh, well, what way to end.
Yeah. I do love it when they start pushing people off the, like, flying boat.
Yeah.
and they fell into the Sarlacc that you hear like Wilhelm screams from here to there.
And then Leia kills Jabba, and it's satisfying to watch.
I love how they killed him.
Yeah.
It's not like shooting him or like letting him stay in the ship and while it explodes, like they choke him out with a chicken. Creative.
And then as they're evacuating, R2 just pushes C3. Like, come on, you big pussy.
Yeah.
And then they escape, and then we cut back to the Death Star 2, and we see the Emperor, played by Ian McDermott, and he is always great as Emperor Palpatine.
He always has amazing fights. And I don't know how they, like, I really couldn't tell, because it was the first one I watched. I didn't watch the original one, where there was no extra CGI here. I couldn't tell, like, is this old or is this new? Was this added in production or was this original film? I couldn't tell. So
think
they
it's
did a really
original.
good job.
I think it is.
What is?
John's asking you, like, is the Emperor being there part of the special edition or part of the old film?
The Emperor being where?
Being played by
Ian McDermott.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he's the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was like he was Emperor in like the prequels, and then they just CGI'd them there.
That's why it's funny when people were like, the guy who plays Palpatine to reprise his role as Palpatine is actually Palpatine all along in the prequels. They're like, I didn't see that coming. I'm like, really?
I guess I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I mean, because people who saw the originals first and then went and saw the sequels, I've seen this a lot in like YouTube reaction videos to Star Wars, and like in the original trilogy, they never said the Emperor's name. He had no name. He was just the Emperor, and his face was covered in prosthetics and stuff to look all twisted and everything. So when you see him just normal in the prequels, people tend not to know who Palpatine is. They generally get the sense that he is up to no good through certain things like the camera holding on him at certain angles in certain scenes, some of the things that he says. Like, for example, in Episode 1, when they're at Qui-Gon's funeral, and the camera lingers on Palpatine for a minute before cutting away. Generally, that's a sign to people that I've seen, like in the reactions, that something really isn't too right with him.
So I'm guessing like it was a big like shock to everybody when after watching the original trilogy they went to the prequel trilogy, and the entire time they didn't know Palpatine was actually the Emperor.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot in reaction videos.
All right. I wish I watched the original before watching the prequel trilogy now.
Right.
Knowing the fact that I could have had like, oh shit, this guy's the Emperor. Like once he starts flying with his lightsaber. Can we bring that scene back, please? I love seeing him fly.
And one important thing is the Emperor's like, Vader, we are clear on what we're supposed to do here, right? Vader's like, yes, Master. And for the first time in forever, like, is Vader conflicted? Holy shit! All right.
Yeah, because like they had this dialogue where Vader sensed the presence of Luke and he was like, my son is in that ship or in that planet. I forgot what was the location, but like, and then Palpatine goes, really not? Because I didn't feel.
Yeah.
You have a connection that I don't know. I'm like, oh, does Vader getting feelings for his boy? Is he finally becoming human again?
But before that, we go back to Dagobah and we see Yoda's death scene, and uh, Luke wants to have the conversation now. Like, is Vader my father? And they were just like, no, I have to die now.
I don't know what you're talking about. I must rest. Right? Like if Yoda was like, oh, I must rest. And Luke was like, okay, I'll let you rest because you're old and sick and bye. And then he just disappears. And I'm like, well, we'll never know.
But he tells Luke that he has to. His trials are done. That he has to face Vader, and that's his final trial as a Jedi. And he goes away. He disappears, and then Luke goes back to his X-wing and turns to Arthur and goes, "I don't know what to do." And then Kenobi comes to give him this massive exposition dump, and also Ghost can sit.
Right? Ghost legs get tired.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing though is that Yoda does confirm that Vader is Luke's father, and then when he talks to Ben, he also confirms it, and then we get that whole scene about, so you see, what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
Yes. Oh yeah, we're just like, oh, Vader killed your father. He was once Anakin Skywalker, and he was destroyed when he turned into Vader. From a certain kind of point of view, I'm correct. Shut up.
Yeah, you piece of shit. From a certain point of view, you are correct, but fuck you.
Right? That's what I was feeling as well. When Obi-Wan said, at a certain point of view, you
Like, what do you mean, certain point of view?
Because you see Obi-Wan had that, like, I mean, I wasn't wrong kind of face. I was like,
Oh,
alright.
thanks, old asshole. But yeah,
Old wise asshole.
right? I mean, if I did that to you, you would be mad. Like, yes.
I would be. Your sister was destroyed by Lord Vader. Lord Vader was once your sister. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. And then we go back to the rebellion, and we're planning this bold attack on the Death Star 2, and we see Admiral Akbar for the first time. And I do love this character, and yeah, I have nothing more to say, because I'm like, yeah, he goes on to, never mind.
I mean, like, I was very surprised because I was like, I could have sworn I remember him being in more scenes and being more standout-ish, you know?
Which makes him more special that he's not in a lot, but it's like, I like that guy.
Yeah, but the fact that, like, we remember him. Probably from the memes, but we remember him. I was like, okay, I guess his character was enough that we didn't need a lot of scenes with him.
Yeah. And then they ask Solo if his strike team was ready, and Chewie goes, I'm good. And Leia says, I volunteered too. And then Luke says, I'm going with you too. Like, I guess we're ready.
Yep.
So the plan is Lando leads the attack on the Death Star number 2, and Han has to disable the shield on Endor.
Yeah.
And
You know, sorry to interrupt. I just before we move on from that, I just wanted to say that whole part where Luke comes in and he says I'm going to, or whatever he says, that always reminds me for some reason of that scene from The Waterboy where Adam Sandler comes in at the end. Like, you remember the time that Bobby Boucher came in at halftime and won the bourbon ball? It always reminds me of that.
One thing we have to do like the really good Adam Sandler movies. Waterboy was so great.
sure, why not?
And it wasn't the only football game. I'm sorry, football movie that he had. We got
The Longest Yard as well.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good reference to what takes up. That legit, I was like, oh my god, you're right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
because he's off doing like his own thing. He's on Dagobah, and then it's like, oh well, I guess I'll just go back to the rebellion now.
Like nobody announces Luke's back. No. He just comes into the room like I'm coming too.
Like, I guess he's with us. Cool.
Yeah, and he was like, "What's the plan?"
And then we make it to Endor, and Luke's like, we have to take him out stealthily, Han. Just, be good. And he's like, hey, it's me. And he steps on the twig right away. He's like, well, shit.
That's what's so funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. I was like, come on, guys, it's me. And he goes in, and then he steps on the twig. The stormtrooper hears it, and he grabs Han's gun and he fires into the air, and there's a huge echo throughout the woods. Which made me laugh so fucking hard. Not gonna lie, the speeder bike chase was really cool though.
I just feel bad when
Yeah.
they crash. Because you see one stormtrooper hit
I
a
love
tree,
it. I
and then
love it when
crumple.
they crash. I love it when they crash because you see like the bike like immediately stops and then you see the stormtrooper just eat shit on the way. I was like, oh yes. You see one like hit a tree and then just flops over. I was like, oh my god. It's very visceral. Like I know you don't see blood or guts or anything like that, but just seeing their body hit something like hit a wall or a
Like,
tree
yeah,
really
they're
hard,
dead.
and immediately goes limp. I'm like, that's hard.
Then though Leia has plot armor because she gets knocked off too, but she's fine.
Yeah. Oh, their speeder bikes have plot armor too. Like their speeder bikes will get shot, but when they shoot the other speeder bikes, they would immediately blow up. I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. It does not.
And then since Leia's unconscious, that's how Wicket finds her, and that's how we see an Ewok for the first time. Like, oh, it's like a mini Wookiee, kind of.
Yeah. I have a lot of I used to collect little miniature figures like this small of Star Wars characters. I have a shit ton of Ewoks. And I was like, I kind of regret buying these instead of like the Stormtroopers or Clone Troopers. It's meant for like diorama.
Yeah, and the plan was to make them Wookiees, but like because of budget, I guess they're like, no,
Oh,
Ewoks.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Chewbacca's suit was kind of expensive to make,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of 7-foot guys walking around.
right. But yeah, this race is pretty divisive among Star Wars fans because it's like, really, the best Legion of the Emperor versus teddy bears, and teddy bears come on top.
I don't know if you guys noticed. Well, I'm for sure Hazel couldn't really notice.
Okay, what's the question? I'm sorry.
No, it's we didn't ask a question, but like I was like I don't know if you noticed. Ewoks speak Tagalog, for some reason. Did you not hear it, Enzo?
Huh?
What?
Yeah, they spoke
All
Tagalog.
right, that's why I'm like, why does it sound so familiar? I just can't. All right.
Yeah, like
What?
God. Yeah, they spoke Tagalog, but not all the time. Like they would say like gibberish. I don't know if those were other languages mixed in together. Let me know in the comments below. But they would have like blah, blah, blah. They would make their own fucking sound, and then they would squeeze in Tagalog words, but in like very mixed match sentences. Like sobrang puno na yan maganda. I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, that caught me off guard. I'm like, am I watching some
No,
wrong
like
version?
both of you guys. After this review, look it up. Ewoks speaking Tagalog, and I was like, "Fuck." Well, I don't know if Hazel can pick it up, but Enzo, you will.
I need to watch
But-
it.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and one of the Ewoks in the background said Diwata, which means goddess, when they were looking at C-3PO when they were referring to a god. So I was like,
That's
"Oh
right.
shit!"
That sounded so familiar. I'm like, why does that word ring such a bell in my head?
Yeah, they speak a lot of Tagalog words from here to there. See if anybody could pick it up, and write it down in the comments below. All the Tagalog words you guys heard. If you're
Yeah.
from the Philippines.
And the way they captured Chewie, Han, and Luke, it's the easiest way because she was like, ooh, food.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you mean how they were gonna eat them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Very much spit roasted.
Yeah.
Yo, it's funny because I was actually just talking to Krim, just a little while ago, like maybe an hour ago or something. I said this to him. I forget how the whole Star Wars thing even came up, But it's me. Star Wars is always going to come up. And I was saying to him, how at the end of Return of the Jedi, how the Ewoks are playing on the stormtrooper helmets,
Yeah.
like for the music.
Yeah.
They ate those fucking stormtroopers.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. And it kind of feels like they eat anything. They're probably the apex predator of
That area.
yeah, Endor. So I'm like,
I also love C-3PO tell them to use your magic, and he says what Luke told him, and then they're like, cook them quicker, and they start building the fire faster. Like, well, that didn't work.
yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, it was a weird thing. Like, well, as they're like setting up Luke and Han, being spit roasted, like one of them was like, sarap yan, which means in Tagalog, that's gonna taste good. And I was like, you sons of bitches. It's like, nice job on squeezing that in.
And then Luke levitates C-3PO, and like R2, he's not too happy about it. He's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Just don't know why.
I have a question for you guys. About the damn it, how do you say the language name?
Tagalog?
Tagalog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about that. Now, the Ewoks, they, like you said, they mostly speak gibberish and throw the words in every so often, like mixed up or whatever. But C-3PO, when he's speaking the Ewok language,
No, he does not.
he enunciates all of his words kind of slowly, to like speak to them.
Mhm.
Is he saying anything?
No. Those were all gibberish.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ewok talk, I guess. I didn't hear a single word of Tagalog from C-3PO.
I actually need to rewatch the scenes though. Like, no
Yeah.
wonder some words. I'm like, my brain was like, I detect something that's so familiar.
Dude, I was drawing while I was like while I was watching, and then I just hear the Tagalog words. I'm like, excuse me, play that back.
I just thought my sister was playing something really loud. I'm like, is she watching TikTok?
No.
But yeah, I do love the fact that in A New Hope, 3PO was like, I'm not a storyteller. But here, he tells the entire saga so far to the Ewoks.
Yeah.
With original sound effects too. I'm like, damn.
I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
You gotta love how, like, even though C-3PO says, "Oh, I'm fluent in 6 million languages," and I was like, "What are they saying?" I think they're saying, "You think?" I thought you were fluent. But he did say it was somewhat of an old dialect.
Yeah.
I'll give him a little bit.
And then Luke has to walk out because he senses Vader's here, and then Leia follows him. He's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, well, the Force. Oh well, no. Do you remember your mom's face? She's like, "Yeah, she was very sad, and all this." I'm like, knowing what I know now, I'm like, how? How do you remember? Like, explain.
Hey, she wasn't wrong. She was very sad that he killed her.
Yeah, because I remember like this, Luke, Leia.
Force.
And then he tells Leia that basically like you're my sister, and doesn't quite dawn on Leia that I'm your sister, your father's Vader. Wait a minute.
We kissed? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna let that go.
Also, the guy who tortured me and blew up my planet is Dad?
Cool. Horrible father figure. Yes.
Yes. And then Luke walks away, and then Han comes out, and he is pretty jealous. It's like, what were you talking about? I can't tell you. Why not? Because. And he's like, oh, fine, be that way. And he wants to walk away. And then he walks back to comfort Leia. I'm like, okay, sure. Good on you, Han. And then we get a cool scene where I guess Luke just surrenders to the Empire, and he's brought to Vader.
Yeah.
And I do like the acting. Like, again, it takes quite an actor to show emotion when you're just wearing a mask. Because when Luke is talking to Vader about joining the light again, he's like, it's too late for me. son. It's like,
It hit me hard when he said son.
yeah.
Especially when he's talking to Palpatine, my son is on that planet. I'm like, aw. I didn't find him threatening anymore. It's like, he's compassionate.
Yeah.
He has a heart. The Tin Man does have a heart. Oh.
And then after they take Luke away, the camera like focuses on Vader for a bit because he's like, I might be having second thoughts after all.
Yeah. Like Luke saying pretty much like, no, you can't come back. I know you can come back. And I was like denying it the entire time. But then it kind of just pans on his face a little too long.
Yeah.
To the point that we're like, I know they got cookies over there, but
Like
your son's over here.
That's your boy.
Yeah.
And then we cut to where did we cut to? Cut to space, and the Admiral Akbar's like, it's funny because he's like, ready up the engines, and then when he says ready up, they all go to hyperspace. He's not like, I just said ready up. Oh well.
You motherfuckers, you left us.
And then we got to the forest floor, and Han, Chewie, and Leia are doing the sneak attack where they think they got the number on this facility because the Ewoks led them there. And then we cut back to the Emperor, and he's like, in time you will call me master. And by the way, I know of your plans. It was me who allowed them to know of this location. So, too bad.
Yeah. I was like the entire time though. I was like, you could see like, the Emperor Palpatine. He has a lightsaber on his side, right? He was like, "Yes, I'm defenseless. Grab it now. I know you're mad. Strike me down." I was like, "Oh, this instigator, this son of a bitch!" Like, I was getting pissed off when he was like making Luke pissed off. I was like, "I'm gonna take it." I mean, Luke kind of does.
Also, when Han is setting the C4, like when they're surrounded by more Imperials, he just chucks one of the C4 bags at one officer. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's funny.
I don't know, Hazel. Like, what do you think of this kind of theory that when Luke went for his lightsaber and went to strike down Palpatine and Vader blocked it, was it Vader just kind of like, oh, I'm trying to save my son, but I gotta have to fake it to make it kind of deal?
That's interesting.
Don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not sure as well.
That's an interesting
Maybe?
Man. That's pretty interesting, man. I'll dwell on it as we continue. And then we cut to space, and Lando's like, something doesn't feel right. How do we know if the shields are up or down since they don't know that we're coming anyway? Oh shit. And then Akbar says his famous line, "It's a trap," and then we get these three plot points that are very tense filled, and even up to now I'm like, I know how this ends, but I'm still like, holy shit.
Yeah. The whole space battle, the whole dogfight in space was so fucking good.
Yeah.
I love that shit so much.
Also, because of Luke's confidence, there's times where the Emperor's like taken aback to Luke, because when he's like, your problem is your overconfidence, and then the Emperor's like, your problem is your friends. It's like, oh, that's petty.
No, it was like your trust in your friends. Oh, your faith in
Yeah,
your
he says your confidence will be your downfall, and Palpatine's like, your faith in your friends will be yours.
Yeah, I love that dialogue so much.
It's just a quick snap. Like, your faith in your friends will be your downfall. I'm like, what, man? Someone's petty.
Mama mo downfall. Sorry.
Oh, for Hayes on the other Western, that means your mom's your downfall.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to the ground forces, and they're being surrounded by the Empire. But for once in his life, C-3PO has enough courage to lead them away, and that's when the Ewoks attack. And it is what it is. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like, this is supposed to be, a metaphor, an example of like less how do you say this? Technologically advanced civilization against the might of a mighty empire. You know, because this is a analogy on Vietnam.
Oh, I can kind of see it.
Yeah, which is funny because the original director for Apocalypse Now wasn't Francis Ford Coppola; it was George Lucas.
Oh, gone full circle.
Yeah,
Oh, that's very cool. No, but yeah, I can see the message there. But of course, the Vietnamese don't use bows and arrows
again,
and like hammers.
how effective is this armor for stormtroopers?
Not at all. They're plastic. I'm pretty sure they clarified that it's just plastic. Like, the Empire is so much in debt and like they lack so much budget because they tried to make a moon gun that they were like, we can't really protect our men, so let's give them like false hope and placebos that like this armor might protect them.
Like the stones from above, I get. I'm like that can kill you, even though you have armor, maybe. But the small arrows, I'm like no.
No, not at all. No, but I love that scene where like you see an Ewok with a glider and he has stones like strapped to his belt and he would like loosen it
Yeah,
and drop it on the what do you call it, the walkers.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, thank god, it's the Air Force. Air support, thank god.
And then he gets taken down. Like, yeah, that guy's dead. Poor guy.
I love seeing stormtroopers and Ewoks eating shit. That one, the glider Ewok just face plants to the ground and just like does not move. I was like, oh god.
And then
Horrible as it is funny.
and then one Ewok gets blown up too. I'm like, oh, poor thing.
And they have this whole fucking Saving Private Ryan moment where Ewok's like, are you okay? And just mourns his friend.
Oh man. And then we cut back to the Death Star because the Emperor has one more secret, and that this thing is a fully operational battle station.
Mm.
I just don't know why he doesn't point to the Endor moon. Like, say goodbye to your friends.
Right? He just blows up like a freighter or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a big rebellion ship. I was like, man, just put it at... Well, I guess they were trying to avoid having their shields down.
True. And then Lando gets the bright idea of like, let's just fly towards the Imperial Star Destroyers. Imperial cruisers, because at least we'll get more of them if we just linger around the Death Star.
Yeah.
And then that's also the moment where the Emperor's like, you want to take it, don't you? Strike me down and take your father's place.
Yeah.
And then Luke grabs his lightsaber, and then Vader, as you said, might be defending Luke, might be defending the Emperor, but we do get that incredible shot of the lightsabers making contact and the Emperor just laughing. I'm like, that's a sweet scene.
That is a sweet scene. I will say this entire fight scene was amazing. Cause like, yeah, again, not like how we do lightsaber fights today, but this was telling a story instead of showing us a fight scene.
Yeah.
Like the entire time you see Vader trying to manipulate Luke, saying that like, oh, if you don't want to, probably maybe Leia would like to be part
Yeah,
of the
because
dark
he's like, oh, your feelings betray your sister. If you will
Yeah.
not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. Then never. And then that's when
Yeah.
Luke goes berserk, and again, I love.
I gotta love it though. You can see Luke taking advantage of like the darkness. Like he disappears, and the next time you see him, he comes out of the shadow. When he said never, I was like,
Also,
cool.
there's a shot of him, his face against the light and the dark, and it's like clear, like, oh, I see what's happening.
yeah. But this entire time, like the first fight that they had in, was it
Empire?
Empire Strikes Back? You could see Vader always on top. Like it's always Luke looking up at Vader. You could see who's the winner by the end of it.
Yeah.
At this point, you can see them on equal ground. The camera shot is always parallel to them. No one's really at top, no one's really at bottom. It's always equal, which was a good storytelling that Luke has trained enough to be ready to take on his father. So I was like, that's great. That was really good.
What do you think of this?
Yeah, there's also another scene at the end there when Luke is fighting Vader, where they're on top of like the platform where the Emperor's throne is.
Yeah, yeah.
And Luke kicks Vader down the stairs, and when Vader gets up, he looks up at Luke and says, Obi-Wan has trained you well. That's because he has the high ground.
Vietnam flashbacks for Darth Vader. We're like, oh god, not again!
Like we're not near lava, thank God.
Yeah, he looks down. He's like making sure there's no lava underneath him.
But at the same time, the Han and Leia are trying to get past the doors of the shield, and then R2 tries to do his Swiss Army thing, and then he gets blasted. And then Han's like, maybe I can hotwire it. At the same time, Chewie takes control of one of the ATSTs, and that really turns the tide of the battle because he...
ATST.
Yeah.
I forgot the name.
I love the... Han's like, I think I got it, and then another door closes, and he's like, well, shit.
That was a weird thing. Couldn't the ATST like blow up the door? I remember it could do that. Oh well. It's not like the rebellion was in a hurry or anything.
Yeah. And then Leia got shot, and a couple people are approaching Han behind him. Sorry. And then we have a callback to Empire when he goes, I love you, and she goes, I know. And she blasts them, and then they see this ATST, and they're like, oh god, it's the end. And it's Chewie, not any of the stormtroopers. And I was like, wait, I have an idea, and it kind of makes sense. Like, we can lead them out, or we could just blast the doors and be over with this.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to space, and one of the brave pilots crashes into the Superstar Destroyer, just kamikazes into it.
Yeah, I love that shit. That one MVP,
Yeah.
the one that changed the tide of the dogfight. It was like he was going down. He knew where to aim. I was like, yeah.
Oh, you mean when he crashes into the Executor?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the guy's just like, focus the shields, and like, it's too late, buddy.
Yeah.
And we cut back to Luke and the Emperor, and before that he realized, like, oh god, he has the same hand I do. I am him, he is me. And he's like,
Yeah.
I will never turn to the dark side.
I love that scene though. It's just like hammering on Darth Vader.
Well, no, he didn't say he'll never join. I don't think he said he'll never join the dark side. I think he said I'll never join you.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because you see, what a lot of people, I would say, a huge population of people who've seen these movies, don't realize that in that moment when, after Vader taunts him with Leia, and Luke becomes very aggressive, and then he bests Vader. People don't realize that Luke actually turned to the dark side, and that's what allowed him to defeat Vader. And because he did it in the same way, like cutting off Vader's hand as he did his, that's what kind of snapped him out of it and made him realize the path that he was on, and he switched back to the light in that moment when he threw his lightsaber and said, no, I will never join you.
Yeah, he didn't specifically say he won't join the dark side. Because as of now, Luke isn't like honed in to both sides. Which brings us to the Force.
Just feel bad for Vader at the end. Because he's like, no, please, son, I'm kidding.
Really? He was like, wait!
I just think that's like a really interesting, like fact, like one of the most interesting Star Wars facts, in my opinion, is that Luke turned to the dark side, and a lot of people don't even realize it.
Yeah, which I kind of like that they're kind of subtle about it, because they could go with like the route of how Anakin turned to the dark side, where his eyes turned yellow. They could have like shown in the dark silhouette his eyes glowing yellow a little bit, like as light reflects from it.
Or like perhaps the yellow fading.
Yeah.
When he like when he turns to the Empire or the Emperor, I mean, like you see the yellow fading.
Yeah. Like that would have been a sick scene, but knowing the fact that like it's just a hint here makes it a little bit more special in my opinion. Instead of like, telling us the audience.
Way more subtle that way, and instead of like
Yeah.
too
But
showy.
I would have loved to have seen like when he was fighting Vader and he was winning, his eyes kind of turned yellow a little bit. I would have loved to have seen that.
Same. And then the Emperor goes, "So be it, Jedi." And then,
You will die.
then you will be destroyed. And as a kid, I'm like, wait, he has lightning. Luke, why did you throw away your lightsaber?
You could have blocked it like Rey.
I mean, Mace Windu did that too.
I mean,
Yeah.
or if Yoda didn't, shit the bed, then he could have just taught him how to, to hone the Force lightning in his hand like he did with Dooku.
Right.
It's like, by the way, before I die, Siths
So
have this power.
for your last lesson on Jedi 101, ah.
And like
And
before,
you see, the very interesting thing is that, like, whether somebody is a Jedi or a Sith or just an unaligned dark side Force user, like the Inquisitors were, because the Inquisitors weren't actually Sith; they were just unaligned dark side Force users. Because if you remember the rule of two, there's only two, and there was Vader and there was the Emperor, and there was Palpatine. So the Inquisitors weren't actually Sith at all. But the cool thing is that it doesn't matter whether you are a dark side Force user or a light side, like the Jedi. The powers that each has can be used by either side, or either person on each side. It's just that they don't, because they obviously dark side people are not going to use light side powers simply out of defiance. And the light side people aren't going to use dark side powers because by harnessing that portion of the Force to use those powers brings them closer to the dark side using dark side powers. So Luke could use Force lightning if he so chose to, but obviously he and other Jedi don't, because it is a very powerful dark side Force alignment power.
The only dark side things that Luke touches on is this Force choke, which he did to one of the Jabba's guards.
yeah,
The Gamorrean guards, Force Crush, the Dark Trooper at the end of Mando Season 2.
Yeah, which was sick.
That's actually, that was a callback. I didn't read this or anything, but it has to be this. Having Luke, making the decision to have Luke Force Crush the Dark Trooper at that moment was a callback to Vader. Just like the Vader hallway scene in Rogue One is comparable to that hallway scene in Mando.
Yes.
Because Vader is the person who is famous for using Force Crush. And when Luke, in that hallway scene, when Luke puts the lightsaber behind his back to deflect one of the blaster bolts, that's also reminiscent of what Anakin does, or did.
Before this video, I actually rewatched the hallway scene. I gotta love that one creativity of Luke just Force grabbing that one head of the Dark Trooper and just fling it to another, and you just hear the solid kunk, and it just falls down. I was like, I love that so much.
Yeah. But yeah, the Emperor is torturing Luke, and you keep cutting to Vader, and as we cutting to Vader, the camera gets closer, and then the Emperor goes, "And now, young Skywalker, you will die." And he is going to kill him, and we keep cutting to Vader, going. And originally,
you do anything about it?
Originally, he has this powerful moment where no words are said. He just picks up the Emperor, then tosses him down the Death Star engine. But in the special edition, he goes, "No." It's like, oh, why?
Yeah. I kind of wish they stuck with him not saying anything.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. It's kind of cheesy for me.
Yeah. So, bottom line is we don't like it when Vader says no in any context.
No.
No.
Like him from Anakin turning into Darth Vader and finding out that his wife died. That was an okay scene for me. Where him going, no, and like realizing he's not. He's like barely human now.
Hmm.
Like him going no there was an okay scene for him to say no. Here, it felt out of place. You could say no, but how he said it was kind of out of place.
Yeah, just like, George, just leave it alone.
Yeah, or he could have just said no. That's it in a very deep voice, and just grab Palpatine. It was funny though, seeing Palpatine going like this, and just being carried off
It's like,
and
wait.
tossed into the ether.
And then back down, they blow up the shield generator, and that lets Lando launch the attack against the Death Star. And as this is going down, Luke is carrying Vader, and all the stormtroopers like, is that? Fuck it. Let's just run.
Well, shit.
Yeah, and it's funny because in like canon or whatever, you know, Exegol is in canon and everything. Like, not even the sequels. I'm not even talking about the sequels. Just in normal, regular Star Wars original canon, Exegol is a secret planet of the Sith and everything. And when Vader yeets Palpatine, like you said, into the ether. Excuse me. His spirit actually transfers to his clone on Exegol.
Oh.
So Palpatine, like, coming back in Episode 9, even though people hate the sequels in general and stuff, it was completely possible and not just something that they pulled out of their ass for that. Even though a lot of people didn't really agree with the decision and whatnot, it is possible within the actual canon of Star Wars for that to happen, because remember how last episode I mentioned that Darth Vader in the comics discovered that what Obi-Wan said about becoming more powerful than he could possibly imagine was true, and he found that out from the Emperor between episodes 5 and 6. That was actually, he found that out on Exegol, I believe.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, like, for me, the whole Palpatine thing wasn't so bad. It was just the whole Rey and Kylo thing for me. And the whole story in general. But, like, Palpatine coming back, that I could see. With that, I know they could clone. And I know that Jedi have this whole cheat code when it comes to transferring spirit from here to there. That I knew.
I just hate that the only piece of dialogue they had for Palpatine's return was somehow Palpatine return. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It's like
it wasn't really built up. I think the execution of, like, Palpatine coming back was kind of like a little bit of a letdown.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
right.
we cut back to Luke carrying Vader, and Vader's like, help me take this mask off, and Luke's like, but you'll die. Let me see you with my own eyes. I know, nowadays the scene hits me. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. And it's not James Earl Jones underneath the mask, too.
Yeah. I believe the individual's name is Sebastian Shaw.
Mm.
And then he's like, you were right. Tell your sister you were right. And being redeemed, Anakin passes away. And then Luke flies out just as Lando hits the center of the Death Star, and they make it out in time. And Han's like, well, I hope Luke wasn't on that. And then he's like, no, I felt him. He's fine. And Han's like, you know what? When he gets back, I'll get out of your way. I won't cause a bother.
Not gonna lie, Han. That's pretty passive aggressive, bro. Pretty passive aggressive. Kind of beta shit, Han.
Did you see his reaction when he's like, no, he's my brother. And he's like,
Can't Okay.
But yeah,
Ah,
this shit-eating grin is like, alright.
okay. No competition with the Jedi. Yeah.
And we cut back to Luke, and he's the only one attending Vader's funeral. You know, makes sense.
Wait.
So yeah, because he didn't explain to, at least I don't believe he explained to anyone, you know, the story as of that moment.
Yeah. I'm glad like he kept the helmet on.
Yeah, it would have benefited Han Solo. It's like, whoa, wait, by the way, Han, Vader redeemed himself. That's an important part of the story. Remember that. If you ever tell your children.
Cuts to Luke Skywalker hovering over Ben Solo's bed with a lightsaber.
But yeah, we have a celebration with the Ewoks and
a little added bonus that they kind of showed CGI worlds like
yeah, Coruscant, Naboo.
yeah, the Gungan world and all of that. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then Luke comes back, and then he leans against a corner, and he sees Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Hayden Christensen. Go figure.
Yeah, Hayden doesn't say any Hazel.
Yeah,
So
it's like, at least this is the forest planet, not the sand planet. It's fine.
yep.
And for now, this is a happy ending.
As we thought, it was balanced. Which
Ah.
also kind of makes me think. In Obi-Wan, knowing the fact that... Yeah, I'll never... No, never mind.
But we have yet to see. Well, it'll take years until we get to see Luke be badass as a Jedi Master. You know, since it only came in 2020.
Yeah, no, we're not counting the secret trilogy.
Well, maybe we'll touch on them one day.
Didn't we already?
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay. All of these content that we're creating is becoming a blur.
But yeah, we have reached the end of our Star Wars journey. Thank you, Jomar, for joining me, and thank you so much, Hazel, for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
It's like, I'm not the guest here. I'm here.
No, but I do drag you to these videos. Like, thank you for being like, you find out to be in Star Wars. Because I know you. I'm like, every day this week, I'm like, Jomar, it's Star Wars time. He's like, fuck. Alright.
I sent him a gif of Plo Koon crashing. And when he was like ready for Star Wars, I just sent him that gif.
But before we end things, what would you rate Return of the Jedi?
Damn. You know what? This might be my favorite one from the entire trilogy.
Really now? Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm giving this one a 9.5. I couldn't find anything wrong with this film. Yeah, pretty much continuity. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see anything wrong with the continuity. Story was being told perfectly. Fight scenes were amazing. Sure, slow and kind of janky for today's standards, but it was great storytelling. And like, there was enough action and dialogue here to keep you on the edge of your seat. Like, you don't feel like there are any slow parts or parts that were too quick. Everything was kind of balanced, like the Force. Sorry, sis. But yeah, it's a 9.5 for me, almost a 10 out of 10. This was a really good Star Wars movie.
You say that you can't see any flaws. All my flaws I have is Boba Fett, but that's fine.
Now that you mention it, back down to 9!
But yeah, like, aside from Boba Fett, also some of the green screen shots, I'm like, that could use a bit of work.
Yeah, but to be honest, it didn't really bother me all that much.
Yeah, and maybe some of the special editions that Lucas added, like the no, I'm like, really? But all in all, it's a great conclusion, as I said. For the time being, it was a great ending to this chapter of the Star Wars saga. And yeah, I'll also give this a 9. It's pretty good, and I will keep rewatching it. Mostly because of Luke, because I want to see how his journey ends. or concludes for this chapter. How about you,
How
Hazel?
about you, Hazel? Jinx.
Yeah, it was definitely excellent. I'm good. I'd give it a 9.5.
9.5.
All right.
Alright.
But yeah, that has been our video on Return of the Jedi. What do you guys think of it? Comment below, and if you did recognize any Tagalog words, please tell me what you recognize, because I need to rewatch the scene again. You can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/geeks and degenerate. We react to trailers, we stream video games. Individually, you can find me at Gandalfus1995 on IG and Twitter. How about you guys?
Oh, you can find me at JomGOM on Instagram. It is my art. How about you, Hazel?
Instagram and Twitter is Sapphire Hazel 7, the number 7, and YouTube and Twitch is just Sapphire Hazel.
Alright.
Alright. Remember to stay safe, wear a mask, social distance, and get vaccinated if you can get your booster, for fuck's sake already. And we'll see you on the next one. Maybe we'll touch on more Star Wars, but I think Drummer needs a break from that, so that might be some time in the future. But anyways, that's all the time we have for this video at least. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.